From Rumi being pregnant to a hidden Saja Boys member no one was supposed to see, today, we're uncovering secrets that K-pop demon hunters may have already revealed about Part 2. Get ready, it's gonna be a long ride. Rumi might be pregnant. This didn't just appear out of nowhere, it comes from something the film didn't show. According to director Maggie Kang, several emotional scenes were cut, including deeper moments between Rumi and Jinu. When a relationship is intentionally trimmed down, it leaves gaps in the story, and those gaps invite questions. What exactly were we not meant to see? Because if their connection was stronger than what we were shown, stronger than the surface level bond the story allowed us to see, then Jinu's sacrifice doesn't sit as a clean ending anymore. It starts to feel incomplete, like we witnessed the impact of it but not the full consequence. Up until that moment, everything frames his sacrifice as a final, closing act, the kind of loss that's meant to define the characters who survive it. Rumi's family story isn't finished. There are strong hints that Rumi's mother's fate was never fully explained. Some interpretations even suggest that Celine may have been involved in her death. If that's true, it completely reshapes Rumi's past. It turns her story from a simple loss into something much more complicated and personal. Every revelation about her family doesn't just explain the past, it pushes the present forward. It unlocks abilities, triggers reactions, and draws attention from forces that were dormant until now. And suddenly what she thought was personal becomes larger than her. Bloodlines don't exist in isolation. They connect to systems, to rivalries, to histories that don't just fade away. And if her lineage is tied to both human and something darker, then she isn't just part of the conflict. She might be the center of it, which raises the stakes for everything that comes next. Every choice she makes isn't just about survival or loyalty anymore. It's about legacy, about whether she continues what came before or breaks it entirely. Because once a story leans into bloodlines, it's no longer just asking who are you. It starts asking something much heavier. What were you meant to become? Jinu didn't just die, he transferred. Jinu's final moment is one of the most important clues in the entire film. His energy doesn't disappear, it flows directly into Rumi's sword, changing its form and power. That means his presence still exists, just in a different state. And if energy can transfer like that, it opens up stronger possibilities about legacy and continuation. So now the question becomes, what else could carry that connection forward? And could that connection be tied directly to Rumi herself? That's where things take a turn, because sacrifices in stories like this aren't always about disappearance. Sometimes it's about transformation, about shifting from a visible presence into something less tangible, but no less powerful. If Jinu gave himself up in a moment charged with emotion, energy, and intent, then it's possible that what he left behind wasn't just memory, but residue, a piece of himself embedded in the very thing he was trying to protect. And if that's true, then his role in the story didn't end there. It evolved. Suddenly, moments that seemed like a coincidence start to feel different. Subtle guidance, instincts that don't fully belong to the character experiencing them. Those aren't just emotional echoes. They could be signs that something of Jinu is still active, still influencing events from behind the surface. This reframes the sacrifice entirely. It wasn't just an act of loss. It may have been the creation of something new, something quieter, less direct, but potentially even more important to what's coming next. Because if his connection to them still exists in some form, then he hasn't left the story, he's just no longer playing by the same rules. Celine killed Rumi's father. When Celine discovers their relationship, she reacts immediately. She executes him without hesitation. And after that moment, Myung disappears. And what makes it linger isn't just the absence, it's the lack of closure. The moment this forbidden love is discovered, everything falls apart. When Celine finds out the truth, she reacts instantly and without hesitation. She executes Rumi's father, ending his life without any sign of mercy. And after that moment, Myung disappears completely, leaving behind nothing but a story that never quite adds up. There's no confirmation, no body, no finality to anchor what happened. One second, she's part of the story's momentum, and the next, she's simply not there anymore. It's not written like an ending, it's written like an interruption. That distinction matters, because when a character is meant to be gone for good, the story usually tells you. It gives you something concrete to hold on to: grief, aftermath, resolution. But with Myung, none of that is fully delivered. Instead, everything surrounding her disappearance feels deliberately incomplete, like a sentence that was never finished, and that kind of silence doesn't close a door, it leaves it slightly open. It also reframes everything that came before. Her actions, her positioning, even the timing of her exit, all start to feel less like a coincidence and more like a setup. Almost as if her role wasn't meant to end in that moment, but to shift into something unseen. The kind of narrative move that pulls a character out of view, not to erase them, but to reposition them somewhere the audience can't follow, at least not yet. And that's where the unease really settles in. Because gone isn't the same as finished. If anything, it's more dangerous. It suggests continuation without visibility, presence without proof. Myung's disappearance doesn't resolve her story, it suspends it. And in a story built on hidden patterns and missing pieces, that kind of absence starts to feel less like loss and more like a waiting point. A hidden sixth Saja Boys member. During one performance scene, viewers notice something strange. 6 shadows instead of 5. It's subtle, but once you see it, it's hard to ignore. Fans have theorized the existence of a hidden member, often referred to as Minho, not confirmed, but consistently discussed across platforms. When they first appear, the camera does not rush into a full group reveal. Instead, it isolates hands, shoes, silhouettes, and reflections. A fragmented introduction often signals a fractured identity in visual storytelling. We are not meant to see them as fully transparent characters yet. The film visually withholds wholeness. That withholding is a narrative promise that something about them remains incomplete or concealed. If true, this suggests the group we saw wasn't complete, and missing members in stories like this usually don't stay missing forever. Zoe is hiding something personal. Zoe's connection to the Sunlight Sisters is more than just admiration. It feels deeply emotional. The recurring poster isn't just a background detail. Many fans believe the missing member of that group is her mother. And if that's true, it explains why Zoe clings to that image with such intensity. Because it's not just a memory to her, it's an anchor. The kind of thing you hold on to when everything else feels unstable, when the present no longer makes sense on its own. She doesn't revisit it out of nostalgia. She needs it. Almost like letting go would mean losing something far more important than just a moment in time. And that's where it becomes revealing. Because in storytelling, what a character refuses to release is rarely random. It's usually tied to something unresolved, something they either can't face or don't fully understand yet. The story was deliberately cut down. Multiple reports and fan breakdowns online keep circling back to the same strange feeling. The film doesn't just move fast, it feels compressed. Not rushed carelessly, but condensed like parts of the story were folded inward, leaving behind only the most essential beats while something deeper sits just beneath the surface, barely touched. You can feel it most clearly in Rumi's arc. Her connection to her family, her past, even the emotional weight tied to her origins, it's all there, but it never fully breathes. Key moments arrive with impact, but they don't always get the space to unfold. Conversations feel like they start halfway through. Revelations land, but the aftermath is shortened. Almost like the story is intentionally holding something back instead of exploring it fully. And that's where the pattern becomes hard to ignore. Because this kind of compression doesn't feel accidental, it feels selective. Certain emotional threads, especially the ones tied to Rumi's identity, her parents, and whatever hidden truth surrounds her, seem to stop just short of resolution. Not abandoned, not forgotten, just paused. The story is giving you enough to recognize their importance, but not enough to fully understand them yet. Even the pacing reflects this. Major developments happen closer together than expected, with very little downtime between them. It creates momentum, but it also creates gaps and spaces where deeper exploration should exist, but doesn't. And those gaps aren't empty. They feel occupied by scenes, explanations, or backstory that we were never shown, which leads to a more deliberate interpretation. What if the film isn't incomplete but intentionally restrained? What if those missing emotional layers, especially around Rumi's family and past, were never meant to be fully revealed here? Not because they weren't important, but because they're being saved. Preserved for something bigger, something that requires a second chapter to fully unfold. If Rumi is carrying Jinu's legacy, does that make her the key to saving both worlds or the reason they collide? And if a sixth Saja boy really exists, why was he hidden in the first place? So what do you think is really going on? Drop your thoughts below, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because if all of these are true, K-pop Demon Hunters 2 isn't just going to continue the story, it's going to change everything.